Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to your Punic Wars flipped classroom. So you should have a couple of things with you right now. You're going to need your composition notebook with the Cornell notes set up on pages 75 and 76, and you're going to need the map that I provided for you. It looks like what's on the screen in class the other day. All right, the first thing I need you to do, have the map. And just like I say on this slide in front of you, add a box to the top of the key and label it Rome before the war. All right? Again, you're going to add a little box above where it says First Punic War. You're going to add a little box and make it say Rome before the war. Now, you're going to need 4 different colors in order to complete the map. And as we go through, you're going to have some directions in coloring the map and taking notes, and then actually watching other videos that are posted on Edmodo. So, are you ready? Let's get started. First things first. The first thing we need to do is choose your first color. I chose green, and you need to make sure you put your color on the key for Rome before the war, and then you are going to color whatever color you've chosen, just the peninsula, the Italian peninsula. All right, that little thing that looks like a boot, that's what you want to color. This is Rome before the war. By the end of the Roman Republic, remember that the Romans had a good, strong army, and they had conquered all the Latins and all the Etruscans and all the Scythians and everybody else, all the Greeks in southern Italy, and taken over the entire peninsula. So this Punic War is all about the growth of the Roman power. So by the end of this, we're going to see a whole bunch of this map filled in. All right, but definitely get started with Rome before the war. Go ahead and pause me and then color that in and then hit continue. Okay, we're going to switch over into our Cornell notes in our composition notebooks now, okay? So please open in your composition notebook to pages 74 and 75. I need you to set up both of these pages with Cornell notes. Please remember my 3-finger rule. You want to have 3 fingers from the edge. This side, for the questions column, and 3 fingers from the bottom for your summary section. All right, so it needs to look like this. Your topic goes on the top, your essential question. 3 fingers from the side is your questions column. 3 fingers from the bottom is your summary section. Please don't forget that. Remember, it's very important to have a summary at the bottom of every single page. I provide you with your topic, the Punic Wars, that goes right across the top of your Cornell notes, and your essential question also goes across the top. How does Rome conquer the Mediterranean region? And that is exactly what this whole flipped classroom is about. All right, so this is where I'm going to ask you to stop this video, pause it, stop it, whatever, and go back to Edmodo. All right, there's a video labeled for you, Punic Wars, Rome and Carthage, and it's labeled number 1. All right, it's about a 4-minute video. Go back, leave this video, go back to that video and watch that 4-minute video, okay? When you're done with that video, you're going to want to come back because we're going to talk about some notes for that video. Got it? All right, one more time. You're going to set up the Cornell notes on pages 74 and 75. Make sure you have the topic, the essential question. Then you're going to go back to Edmodo and watch the Punic Wars, Rome and Carthage hashtag or number 1. Okay? And then come back and fast forward me until you get back to this spot. All right? Welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed that short little 4-minute video about the beginnings of the Punic Wars. We're going to talk and dive into that video a little bit more, and I already have the notes up for you on the screen. This is going to be your very first chunk of Cornell notes. Please remember, I do not ask that you copy my slides. If I wanted you to copy, I would just print these out for you, okay? Please you still need to have 4 bullets, but please make sure you have your notes in your own words, okay? So this first chunk is going to be titled The First Punic War, and I have it in parentheses video notes because on Monday, your flipped classroom part, we're going to be doing some textbook work and I'll have some questions and that kind of stuff. So this particular part is going to be video notes, all right? So let's talk a little bit about what you learned. Were you surprised by anything in the video? Carthage was pretty interesting, huh? First off, we get the name for the war itself from the Carthaginians, who were originally Phoenicians. Do you remember learning about the Phoenicians? They're the people who invent the purple dye, and I talk about them as being my favorite, so I can wear purple, even though I'm not right now. And they're incredibly powerful in the ocean. Remember, they have, in the Mediterranean region, remember they have a huge sea-faring population that is able to trade, and they have a good military and navy, and they become a really strong sea power. And Rome and Italy being right in the center of the Mediterranean, you can imagine that would be a little intimidating for the Romans. So the Carthaginians become, who were originally Phoenicians, they become this strong sea power. And the Romans, as well as the Phoenicians, or as well as the Carthaginians, called this whole war then against Carthage the Punic Wars, and that name comes from the Phoenicians. The Romans find a Carthaginian ship that had grounded on the Italian peninsula. It's really ingenious what they do. They reverse engineer it. So I don't know if you've ever taken apart a radio or taken apart anything and then tried to put it back together. That's exactly what the Romans do. They take it apart and they learn about it from the inside out. And as they're doing that, they learn about how to build it. And then they make replicas of that same ship, a Carthaginian ship. So they have an entire navy now, just like the Carthaginians. It's going to also allow them to become a strong sea power. Rome gets involved with the Carthaginians because of the people living on Mycenae, on the island of Sicily. So there's the little rock, which is the boot that the peninsula is kicking, right? If you look on your map. And that's the island of Sicily. And on Sicily, there's a group of people who are being ransacked by pirates. All right, they're right in the center of the Mediterranean, and pirates come by and attack them. People on both sides of the island ask two different groups for help. The people on the north side of the island ask the Romans for help. The people on the southern side of the island ask the, you guessed it, Carthaginians for help. By the end, though, the Carthaginians and the Romans are now fighting over control of the island itself. So I guess the Sicilians get help against the pirates, but now they have a different kind of problem. At the end of the war, Rome actually beats out Carthage and they take control of all three of those islands: Sicily, Sardinia, and Corsica. All right, so here's where you get to go back to your map. After you have these notes down for your Cornell notes, of course, pause me as you need it in order to get these notes down. Then you're going to want to go back to your map, and I have already colored for you. I chose red for the First Punic War. So by the end of the First Punic War, like I said, I chose red. We have Sicily, Corsica, and Sardinia in control of Rome. All right. So after you're done with your first chunk of Cornell notes, go ahead and chunk those notes, and then go back to your map, and with a new color that First Punic War map. Okay, so up to this point, you should have your first chunk of Cornell notes for the First Punic War done, and you should have two different colors on your map. The Italian peninsula should be one color, that's Rome before the war, and then the island of Sardinia, Corsica, and Sicily should be another color, and that is Rome after the First Punic War. So you're going to watch a video next about Hannibal and Rome's worst nightmare, Hannibal. I want to preface this video a little bit. After the end of the First Punic War, the Carthaginians are incredibly upset that the Romans have now come in onto what they think is their territory. Okay, the general who is against the Romans during the First Punic War, he suffers a horrible loss against the Romans and is embarrassed in Carthage, and as a result, throughout the rest of his life, builds up this huge anger and resentment against Rome. So as you're watching that, the opening scene is Hannibal's father, Hamilcar Barca is his name, and he is so still upset about the First Punic War that he has his son Hannibal swear an oath to him, and what he sticks his fingers in is animal blood. All right, and that was really common when someone would swear an oath. They would do it on blood, and they would do it on the blood of an animal. Okay, and he swears to be that enemy of Rome. The entire rest of the video then walks you through how the Carthaginians go back to war with Rome, and then how Hannibal builds his army, how he gets to Rome, and then how the war goes, the Second Punic War goes. All right. So again, the video is about 10 minutes, so this one's a little bit longer. You're going to want to pause me, go back, watch this video, Rome's Worst Nightmare, Hannibal Part 1. It's labeled number 2. Okay. Go back to that, watch that video, and then come back and we'll do one more chunk of notes, and then we'll be finished. Okay? Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed that 10-minute video about Hannibal and you made it all the way to the end. I think the end is probably the most crucial because that is where we find out what happens, all right, and what happens to Carthage and what happens to Hannibal. All right, so the Second Punic War obviously has a whole bunch that happens in it. It's really the main war of the Punic Wars. I have just the one slide for you, so your second chunk of Cornell Notes should be titled The Second Punic War. And then I have, 6 bullets here. Again, please do not copy. You are writing these in your own words. If you need to pause me, that is the best way to do this, okay? And I'm realizing right now that my head is probably blocking some, so I'm going to pause me and take me away. Okay, that should be better. My head should be gone and you should just be able to hear my voice. So after the First Punic War, Carthage begins to regroup and they start to expand their empire. Now they're going into Spain, okay? They create a new town, new village, a new city, whatever, called New Carthage, okay? They're kind of starting over and they're expanding. This is where Hannibal is going to raise up his army to fight against Rome. He's going to lead that army all the way through mainland Europe, along with people, so the military itself, and he's going to bring elephants with him. And then he's going to actually cross the Alps in order to invade Italy. He figures that the Italians are expecting the Romans are expecting the Carthaginians to come by sea to them. So he knows if he can make it over the Alps, the Romans are not expecting that at all. So he is going to have a surprise attack. His plan against Rome is simple. He's going to have victories early on, and then he's going to try to convince enemies of Rome to become Carthaginian allies, okay, and to join him. That way he'll be able to expand his military and swell it all up. However, things do not go how Hannibal intends. Carthage is somewhat defenseless against the Romans once they get there, and they very quickly realize that they've made a mistake, and they call for peace. The allies, Roman allies, do not turn against Rome. They've learned, they know better. A lot of the elephants just didn't make it over the Alps, and it just doesn't work. So in the end, Carthage is defeated. Their price, the colonies in Spain, Africa, most of its navy, and a lot of money. All right, I'm going to show you the map. This is our third color. Go ahead and color that in. Come to class prepared with these 2 chunks of Cornell Notes and this map colored in. I hope you enjoyed.